dumpers can dedicate the next few days to solid partying, unfettered by caring for their parents. Pushed to extremes by John Lewis adverts, Instagram exaggerators, and that terrible Paul McCartney song insisting that everyone else is simply having a wonderful Christmas time, many patients find this time of year too much to bear and need to make use of our cruelly underfunded mental health services. And while, of course, there is never a good time to lose a loved one, there is something all the more harrowing about grief during the festive period, oppressively surrounded by global joy. The annual winter health crisis rightly makes headlines every year, but over the festive period, the media, not wanting to piss in your Baileys, turns a blind eye, instead feeding us feel-good stories about a polar bear who's done a forward roll, or some royal toddler trotting off to church in fur-trimmed couture. But just as putting your hands over your eyes won't make you invisible, the patients don't go anywhere, and the ambulances are still lined up outside A&E, like lorries at Calais. And the staff are still there too, putting vocation over vacation. There's no reserve service, no fleet of green goddesses to give the healthcare professions a bit of time off. Instead, 1.4 million NHS employees divvy up the shifts and put in absurdly unsociable hours to ensure the rest of us make it through to the new year in one piece. Of the 7 Christmas days I was a practicing doctor, I ended up on the ward for 6 of them. There were a few reasons for this, amounting to a perfect snowstorm. First of all, everyone thought I was Jewish, so assumed I wouldn't mind working on the least Jewish day of the year. In fairness to those people who thought I was Jewish, I was Jewish, and indeed still am, but with the emphasis very much on the ish. I'm the kind of Jew who has a Christmas tree, doesn't go to synagogue, and in fact had to Google the correct spelling of synagogue when writing that sentence. Oh, and I don't believe in God, which I understand the more scrupulous practitioners generally do. Still, as far as my colleagues were concerned, I was certainly Jewish enough that I would happily sacrifice the annual 24-hour TV and food-a-thon for the greater good. Somehow my Jewish credentials didn't quite stretch to being able to skip work every Saturday. Talk about persecution. Added to this, I didn't, and indeed still don't, have any children. Christmas being a time for the kids and all, the medics with young families would rise to the top of the Norway spruce and get the day off. I didn't begrudge them this, though for a while I did consider inventing some convenient yet imaginary offspring. The thankless toil of actual parenthood would probably have been an extremely expensive, stressful and inefficient way to get a free pass to eat sprouts on the same day as everyone else. Due to the peripatetic nature of junior doctor training, I worked every Christmas in a different hospital, so I couldn't really call foul and complain that I'd worked the previous year. That would be like refusing to buy the first round of drinks because you'd bought the last round the week earlier for a completely different set of friends, in a pub 85 miles away. Of course, I might have had more luck if I'd arranged the rota myself. The rota organisers would always get a suspiciously easy set of shifts. But colour-coded spreadsheets were never my forte, and the price the organisers paid for this privilege didn't seem worth the bother. I preferred to spend my already scant free time with my partner, not fielding angry calls from hard-done-by colleagues and wrestling with formula errors on Excel. Besides, even if you do end up avoiding Christmas Day, you'll almost certainly be stuck with the night shift, or Boxing Day, or New Year's Eve. Hospitals attempt to slim down Christmas staffing to the bare minimum of doctors to provide safe care, but with bare minimum generally representing the best-case scenario on a normal day, it's rather hard to tell the difference. Ultimately, the shitty shifts still have to be filled, and no one ever gets to avoid them all. There's about as much chance of a junior doctor getting the whole week off at Christmas as having enough cash to spend the time in Mustique, sipping vodka stingers across the pool from Bernie Eccleston, or Jeremy Hunt. So here follow my diaries from those Christmases spent on the wards, removing babies and baubles from the various places they found themselves stuck. In my first book, This Is Going to Hurt, the most common reasons for entries being omitted included too disgusting or too Christmassy. Here I make amends for both. But it wasn't all bad. At least I had an excuse not to spend time with my family. First Christmas.